Hi, everybody. Hope you all are well this week and everybody had a wonderful holiday weekend. My husband took off on Friday, so I had him Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of this week, although he played pickleball pretty much the entire weekend. But yes, it was holiday here at our house. And I basically played in the office trying to get this place a little bit more organized than it has been lately. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to show up and see who's here. Say hi, tell where you're from, and then we'll start talking about Canvas Workspace today a little bit more. This is going to be a shorter live today because I got a meeting scheduled on me that I didn't expect, so I'm going to try to end this just a little bit short today. But we'll do it this one in two parts, and perhaps that will make it to where it's not quite so overwhelming what we're going to do today. I've got a little project for you, so we're going to get a little bit of a head start on our fall decor. So hi from Indiana. We have Pat here. Pat is, I know, from Smyrna, Tennessee. Hi, Cindy from South Dakota. Priscilla's here from Texas. Robin's here from California. Connie's here from Indiana. I'm getting a few regular here. Where are you from, Belle? What part of Tennessee? Tamara's here from Chesterfield, Virginia. Amanda's here from Minnesota. Good to see you all. Alvinia and Tommy. Is it Alvinia here or is Tommy here? Or are both of you watching today from North Carolina? Karen from Illinois. We've got Judy Lupton from Surprise, Florida. I love that one. Or is it Florida or Surprise, Arizona? I can't remember what that is. I just know it's Surprise because it always cracks me up. Amy's here from Plano, Texas. And Kathy's here from Northern Kentucky. Sue. Oh, well, Sue, I know who you are. Linda threw me off. Alvinia. Okay, so Kathy's here from Chapel Hill. That's North Carolina. I'm assuming we have a Chapel Hill just down the road from me, but I don't believe that's where you're at. Ontario, Kennett. Hi, Janet from Ontario. And Diane's here from Pennsylvania. At Surprise, Arizona. There we go. I knew it was either Florida or Arizona. I knew it was a warm space. I just couldn't remember. Bella's here from Murfreesboro. Sandra's here from Louisiana. What part of Louisiana? I've got friends down there as well as family. Hi from Arlington, Tennessee. Alice, oh, you're just down the road too. And Dee is here from Slidell, Louisiana. Okay, so guys, I hope all of you Louisiana fellas or ladies were okay during the last hurricane. Nothing, no property damage. Hope everything was well with you guys. Hi, Lisa from Michigan. It's good to see y'all here. Okay, so people are still rolling in, but we're going to go ahead and get started because, like I did say, we are going to have a little bit of a shorter day today. So Monroe, Louisiana. A little known fact, I skied for the water skied for the University of Tennessee, and we went to the Nationals one year, and those Nationals were held in Monroe, Louisiana. A little known fact about it. So if you were watching today, you learned something new about me. Hi, Tammy from Virginia. Tammy, I didn't get a chance to read through your email really well, so perhaps I'll look at that and we'll talk about whatever your question was next week. So, Wendy in Smoky, California. Yeah, that doesn't look good out there. And Debbie's here from St. Petersburg, Florida. I was just down there near you in Newport Richey. My dad lives in Newport Richey. So, hi guys. Hi, Tracy. So let's see if we can't get started. All right. I'm going to start sharing my Canvas workspace. The first thing I said I would do is that last week somebody asked about drawing versus cutting. She had something that cut and then it drew, or that drew and then it cut, and she just wanted it to do one or the other. I think she wanted it to draw and not cut. So you can define areas to draw or cut in Canvas Workspace. On the web-based version, you can assign a line to do either option. So you could say draw cutting as an option instead of just choosing draw or cut. On the PC version, you have to choose either draw or cut. You don't have the option to have it do both. Now, if I'm working with heat transfer vinyl, I will use, I'll set it up on my PC version, and then I will run it through the online version so that I can have it draw and cut. The reason for that is because when you are doing heat transfer vinyl, sometimes it's hard to see it to weed. And if you use those little markers that come with it, that come with your scan and cut, you can actually cut it and then draw it, and make sure that you draw second, not first, because otherwise it smears. But if you do that, then you can actually see where you're weeding. It makes it a whole lot easier. I usually find a shade that's close to whatever it is whatever heat transfer vinyl I'm using, and that makes it a whole lot easier to weed. Okay, guys. So let's see here. Assigning line properties. So let me go to Canvas Workspace on my desktop first. Actually, I'll show you on my desktop what we're going to work on after we get done with this. So let's see. Oh, I got to tell you to share screen. All right, so this is what we're going to play with here in a little bit. So giving y'all a little thumbs up on what our two-part project is going to be. We are going to create this part, and then next week we'll probably do the Happy Fall, y'all. But we'll see how far we get with it today. All right, if I want the Happy Fall to draw in Canvas Workspace, on the desktop version, you'll notice if you click on the paintbrush, these are your line properties. And once you've got the item there, from that operation, you can choose cut, draw, or if you have the paper piercing kit activated, you'll have pierce as an option as well. So if you don't want it to cut, you only want it to draw, you can set that as a drawing line. If you turn on a fill, then you can actually get a fill property when you get into the, if you go into your scan and cut options, you can have those different fills apply. So that gives you an idea how that works. On Canvas Workspace Online, I've got to log into mine. That was the last thing I needed to do, and I forgot to do it. Canvas Workspace. I was trying to get everything up that you all might ask a question on today. So here's my new project, and I'm just going to grab a basic shape so you guys can get the idea. When you bring that basic shape in, this little piece of paper is your properties. The item has to be selected. When you click on it, you'll see down here line type, cutting and drawing. That is the default for the web version of Canvas Workspace. It automatically sets it to cut and draw. If you only want it to be a cutting line, you can choose cutting. So if you have items that you're going to have part of it cut and part of it draw, and you don't want it to cut everything, then you would set the cutting and the drawing separate. If you want, like I do with heat transfer vinyl, for it to both cut and draw, then you use the web-based version and you can choose your line type here. All right. So that was the first thing that I wanted to cover before I went further. Now I'm back on the PC version of this. Any questions so far? Let me pop up here to you guys. So I really wanted to clarify that a little bit before I went on, but the only place that you can set it to do both cutting and drawing is on the web-based. On the PC version, you can choose either or, either cut or draw. So that's how you determine what operation you're going to perform. And it won't let you cut something that you've chosen as just a draw line. All right, so let's go back over to our Canvas Workspace on the PC. I'm going to set new page so that since you all know what I've got, I drew this morning and then I scanned it in on my scan and cut. Now, if I had wanted to, I could have scanned it into Canvas Workspace, but I figured this was easier if I just showed you what I did if I scanned it to USB. So on your scan and cut, you actually have multiple options to scan. You have scan to cut data. Well, before we get to that, let me come up here. Let's talk. On your scan and cut, you have scan options. Those scan options are scan to cut data, scan scan to transfer to Canvas Workspace, scan to USB. And there's one more and my brain has just gone blank. But if you choose scan to USB, it's like doing it as a, direct cut, scan to direct cut. So if you're wanting to cut something directly out, you use scan to direct cut. That's cutting out what you have scanned in directly. You can't use your scan mat for that because you can't cut with a scan mat. But let's say you have a piece of fabric that has a pretty print on it. That's when you would, and you just want to pull out that pretty print. So let's say I wanted to cut out this leaf and it was a piece of fabric. I could scan that in because this has a distinctive background and would allow me to pick it out. I could scan that in and directly cut it out. If you have something that you want to work on, say it's scan to cut data, or you want to scan to direct cut, but you want to actually finesse it a little bit, you can scan and transfer that to Canvas Workspace. That will let you work on finessing that outline in Canvas Workspace and then send it back to the machine for it directly to cut out. You also have the scan to USB. Scan to USB is like a USB scanner. I mean, it's just like a scanner. So it scans in as a JPEG. You can choose your resolution. I use that feature a lot with my Luminaire to be able to just scan something in and have it created out of my design center. So, and then you have scan to cut data. Scan to cut data is when you scan something in and you want to cut it out of something else. So those are your options. What I used today was scan to USB. I could have done scan to Canvas Workspace, but I didn't really want to try to do two operations today, knowing that we were short on time. So I scanned to USB. All right, so now I'm going to go back over to my Canvas Workspace and we will get going. All right, your leaf is your trace button. This allows you to image trace. So if you click on your leaf button, I'm flashing over here, click on your leaf button. You can then choose an image from the computer. These are your formats, PNG, JPEG, GIF, or BMP. Well, I told you I scanned into this JPEG, so I'm good. So I can choose an image from my computer. And I scanned this in onto a USB drive. It will be in an image folder. So if I double click on the image folder, I can scroll through and pick the one I want to use. Now, I was playing with drawing, so you can see that I have a few options here. We're going to choose this one right here so I can show you how to crop stuff out. Click on that one, and I'm going to click open. And the first thing I'm going to do is crop out anything that I don't want it to use. So any trash that I don't want it to grab, I'm going to crop out. I can't get quite as much out as I want, but I can get the large portion of it. Now, if I wanted to trace both the outsides and the insides, we can try this. That would be trace areas by color. And you'll notice that it grabbed in my center parts. Kathy, it may be your computer. I've got this at as high of a resolution on the screen as I can. So let me double check and see if I can change settings. I've got it on high def, so we're good. That's as close as we can get it. All right, so now we are going to say, okay. And you'll notice that my image is still pasted there because it gives me my image in my layers menu. I went and touched my layers button over here, and I'm going to hide my image for you so you can see what we've got left. Now I've got a little trash in here that I want to take out. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to click on my select button. Let's look at our layers and see if we've got it grouped. It automatically grouped everything it traced. So in order for me to get rid of it, I need to right mouse click in there and choose ungroup. That lets me play with the different parts. I'm going to select that little different part and press delete on my keyboard. Click here. Anything that I don't want, you'll notice I zoomed way, way in. And I've got extra little pieces, parts here that I don't actually want to deal with. anytime you see something that looks like a darker line, then that darker line there is a double cut. So if I don't want that double cut, I simply select it and delete it. Okay. And you're basically, I mean, your image trace is done. Now, if you want to finesse this, that's a little different. We can zoom in on the areas that we want to finesse. I'm going to change the color of this line so that we can see what we're doing a little bit better. So I'm going to go to my properties and I'm going to change my line property to green. Now that's all green, okay? When you double tap it, you've got little editing nodes, and let me show you what those little editing nodes do. You do not have to do this. It would cut out perfectly fine the way we were working, but you see those little nodes there? The little wings on the side are the things that you can adjust. So if you pull those in, it makes it a corner. And once you pull them in, if you want to drag it down, you can hide your control point, and then you can drag that edit node down. When you put your control points back on, the squares are the control points, the circles are the moving points. And anything you want to manipulate, you just sit and futz with it. And this is, as I said, this is a drawing that I drew. Most of the time, if it's a clip art that you purchased, then it will be much smoother than if it's something you hand drew, just simply because when you hand draw, it's not a smooth item. It just really, unless you are just a perfect drawer, which I'm much better at editing than I am drawing. Life is all about the editing, in my opinion. You can show your image if you go to the layers menu. I got to get back on my screen over here, which it doesn't, my cursor, there we go. Layers menu. If you want to see your image, you turn the eyeball back on. That lets you look at what you've got going. So if I want to hide my control point, I can then move that one down, turn that control point back on, and turn it into a corner. And that's how you manipulate things. Okay? So if there's something in your image, I see Tammy's got a question over there. If there's something in your image folder that you don't want when you're on your PC or your Mac, whatever, your desktop computer, when you're on your desktop computer, you can go to that folder and you can just click on that file and press delete on the keyboard. It'll let you get rid of it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on finessing this. I just wanted you all to see, as you click on them, you get those little wings, and that allows you to smooth things out. Okay, questions so far? I don't get real worried about getting perfectly on there, especially since it's something I drew myself. And if you notice, if we turn off the eyeball, it doesn't look that bad anyhow. So it's not that big of a deal if it's not perfect. There might be places here, like I might want to make that a point and make these a little bit fatter, because I am going to cut this out of heat transfer vinyl. This is going to be a pillow. So if I have my control points, I can then futz and play here a little bit. And when you hide those control points, you don't have as much to worry about. So everything that you've got there is something that can be moved. But when you start getting, do you see how I'm getting little lumpies? When you start getting those, turn your control points back on, and that'll let you manipulate those curves. All right. Okay. So how are we doing on time? We are still doing pretty good. Okay. There was another way I wanted to show you all on how to image trace this. So instead of doing, let's say we didn't want to mess with the centers or something didn't pick up those centers. I'm actually going to do File, New, and I'm not going to save it. We're going to pick the same image. So if I picked that same image and I cropped everything in And I try to do insides and outsides. So both inside, we tried trace areas by color, and I could not get it to work. This is the assumption that I could not get that to work. So I would choose trace outer edge only at that point. Once I do that, and I've cropped everything as close as I can, I would click OK. So I want to show you all another little trick. I'm going to turn off my eyeball for a minute, and once again, anything that I don't want, first of all, I need to ungroup, then delete anything that I don't want. If I think there's a chance that I might actually mess something up, then I will grab anything that in the layers window, anything that I don't want to work with right now, and I will right mouse click and I will group it. You can then hide the group if you want to. That's up to you, okay? So we didn't get centers for this one. How could I get those centers to come in? Well, I'm going to turn my eyeball back on so I can see the image. And let's look at our shape. So just because it didn't automatically do it doesn't mean you can't get it in here. You could use circles and you can use your ellipses to actually get that piece in. So if you grab a circle and drag it in, you could then shrink that down. And plop it where you want it to go. I'm going to change the color so you can see what I'm working with. I don't want a line, hold on. I changed it to orange. Does that help a little bit? We're going to zoom in a little bit further. Now it's not exactly the shape that I need, right? So no worries. If you double tap on it, once again, you have the edit nodes. And you can manipulate those. If you want to add a node, when you click on and edit the circle part, you'll see a square and a square. Depending on where you see the blues, if you see blue here and then a blue and a blue, that means if I add a point, it's going to add it between those two. If I click on this one, you'll notice that the blues are on this side. So if I added a point, it would add it in the middle of those two. We want that point added in the middle of these two. So we are going to come up here and press our add point button. And it added me a little node right there. Then you can take and shrink those in. And voila, you have your little center. If you want to do this one, I would probably do an ellipse for this one, but it's so big and I didn't pull it in far enough, so we're going to shrink it down and then move it over. And we'll come back and grab our select tool. If you want a different color so you can see what you're playing with, change it to a different color. And then that little circle on the side is a rotation tool. It is that easy, guys. Now, we need a point right there, correct? So if I bring this up a little bit and then I click on that twice, I'll get my little nodes, and then I can take that and turn it into a point. Hide my control point, drop it in. Okay? We've got one last piece to go, which would be this one right here. And it's so much like this one. I would right mouse click on that, duplicate, and it moved it over here. Move it. And you'll notice I get in the center to move my pieces, and then that little circle right there lets you rotate. And then you can shrink it in. If you tap it twice, you get the edit nodes and you can manipulate it the way you want it to go. And then those are done. But there's one last thing I would want to do. So I'm going to go to my layers menu and turn off my eyeball. I want the inner parts to, if I move that, see how that part goes away by itself? I want those all to be together. I can do this two ways. I can either group it, or I can grab them all, go to my edit button, and come down here and choose subtract. And now that is one unit. It moves together as one. So we're going to undo, and then we're going to go back to our layers menu and turn everything back on. Actually, we'll just turn our group on, and you've got it done. So that's the two ways that you can play with something. So if your inner parts don't come in, you can use your shapes over on the left-hand side. I'm going to come back up and we're going to talk some questions here. Okay, do I have any? I don't have any questions coming up. Besides Kathy's, is everyone's image blurry, or is it just your computer? I think it may be your computer, but it could be the internet today. I don't know. You know, Paulette, I used to live in Ringgold, Georgia. I'm assuming that's where you are, as in Ringgold. I taught in Dalton, Georgia for a while. Hi from Santa Clara. Kathy's just getting on. Good to see you, Kathy. So did anybody have any questions before I go further? No, y'all are awful quiet today. I'm going to give it one more thing, and then we'll finish tomorrow. So, Tammy, you want me to show you how to delete images that are in the image folder? Okay, hold on. Let me come back to my screen, and so come over to your Windows Explorer. Go to your E drive or whatever drive it is. Go to the image folder. And then I'm going to go to my View tab so I can see what they are. Anything that you don't want, click on it and then press delete on the keyboard, and it'll ask you if you're ready to get rid of it. If you are, you press yes and it's gone. So if I don't want that one, I just press delete and it is now gone. Okay. Yes, there is an undo button. So if you are in your screen here, over on the left-hand side at the very top, this is your undo. You've got undo and redo. There are multiple undos and redos. What's the purpose of draw versus cut? Well, if you don't want to cut something, you can use the drawing tools. The same shape can be drawn. So let's say you wanted to create a card and you wanted to draw it, Kathy. Let me flip over to here. So your Scan and Cut has the capability of both drawing and cutting. Let's say instead of cutting this pumpkin out, I want to draw it and draw it onto a piece of cardstock. I can easily do that by putting the pen cartridge in, or the universal pen holder, and using one of my own markers. Then I can actually draw that out. Okay. The other reason that I draw is what I was saying earlier on today, is that if I'm cutting HTV, there's a lot of HTV is hard to see because you're cutting it face down. You're not going through the carrier sheet. It's hard to see where it's cut. Especially, it depends on the glue on the back of it. Some are easier than others. White is terrible to look at, so is silver. So if you draw it after you've cut it, then it will let you see where you actually cut that. So I was trying to think what else I was going to say. That's it. There's different ways that you can do that. Okay. What markers can you use for drawing? Well, it depends. If you have there are pens that come in that in your set. Okay. There's a little pen cartridge, and then there's pens that fit in those. Those are not permanent markers. You also can get depending on which Scan and Cut you get, the 230D and 230DX both come with the universal pen holder, and that allows you to fit any marker that will fit in the holder in there and use it to draw with. There's also a small pen holder, universal pen holder, that for pens that have a smaller barrel in them. Okay, so you're limited only to which tool that you want to use. Let's see here. Tammy, it's the same process. If it's if it's CRPJ, that is your Canvas Workspace working project, you click on it in that folder and you press delete. Deleting any file is the same regardless of what its file name is. Judy says she uses draw after she sketches, that when she has something that she wants to have a continuous line. You scan it and draw it, then you can scan it into your Luminaire and use it in your My Design Center. Yes, Judy, a little tip, a little trick that you can do, instead of scanning it into the Luminaire, you can scan it into your Scan and Cut, scan it back into the Scan and Cut, save it as a JPEG, and take that directly into the Luminaire. It will actually read it a little bit better. That is one of the lessons I think that I have on, I know that is one of the lessons from the playbook, from the Scan and Cut playbook. So yes, well, depends on which D. There's a 225, a 225F, a 230D, and a 230DX Scan and Cut. They all come with different items in the box. The 230D and the 230DX both come with the universal pen holder in the box. They are alternate optional purchases that you can get if you don't have one of those models. You know, back in the day when we first got it, we didn't have those models, so it was a universal pen holder. It works in every Scan and Cut that we have. All right. Balsa wood, yes. Anything else, I would not suggest it. Because, you know, density can definitely tear it. And I will say this, when you cut wood, paper with wood in it, it's going to dull that blade in a hurry, a very large hurry, okay? Chris, the 225 does not come with the universal pen holder. You can buy it as an optional purchase. Okay, if you want to create an FCM file to import into BES4 to create PES, do your lines need to be set to cut rather than draw? It doesn't matter. It's either one will work fine. There is no difference between the FCM file is an FCM file is an FCM file in BES. It doesn't matter. I'm using the Luminaire, but the principles will apply to any machine that has My Design Center in it. You may not have the touch-to-touch selection menu, but you can. I'll show you how to do it if you don't have that option. So the playbooks are bought at your brother dealer, and it is for DX models. Some of the principles will apply for other models, but it is specific to the DX because that's what is currently selling. And you do get it from your local brother dealer. Okay, so we've got our pumpkin. Do you all want me to show you text for a second? We're just about at the edge of what I can finish doing today. That's let's call it a day. I've covered a lot there as far as that one goes. We will finish this up with text tomorrow, not tomorrow, next Tuesday. We'll finish up this project with text and show you how to add a weeding box and some of those other little tips and tricks. Any other questions before I get done here? So Cheryl, I hope you will enjoy the playbook. I worked very hard on that. You've got my heart and soul in it. I enjoyed it. It was something new, something different for me to write instructions on besides software, which is what I generally do. So it was a lot of fun. And that is one of my second loves is the Scan and Cut. It's an essential part of my sewing and crafting room. I use it every day. It is the rare occasion that I'm not doing something with it. Margaret, I'm so glad to hear that you love your playbook. It's cute, isn't it? I was really pleased with the way it turned out. I got to see one last week. I don't have my playbook yet, but I did get to see one last week. I am going to put up website here. So cynthiasembroidery.com is where you get any of my books, not the playbook, because I am not selling that one personally. I wrote that for Brother. That is where you will find my Lettering So Easy workbook for BES4. This is your coupon code for this week. I don't know if it's still, I will have to make it active. So give me a little while after my meeting. That code right there will be active. That is for the Lettering So Easy for BES4. And remember, it does have a group with it. And that group it's a private group. You have to have the book in order to join it. And we are going through through that book right now with lessons. And I am walking you through lessons. We are going to do that till you guys get more comfortable with the program. At some point, I'll have to stop it because I'll run out of time before I start traveling. But right now, I promised I would get you guys going. And this week will be session number 3, I believe. I think we go this week. Yeah, this week should be session number 3. If I'm wrong, you girls correct me. If you want Digitizing So Easy workbook, this is the book that I'm selling for version 10 and version 11. Your coupon code for it is DIG10. And those are this week's codes. Like I said, give me a couple hours to get those active because I've got a meeting right after I hang up with you guys. So let's see here. Pop that back up. Come over to comments and let's see what we've got going. Oh yeah, Judy, there's a whole section on how to cut quilt blocks. I made an entire project with the quilt blocks, so you'll have fun with that one. Yes, next Tuesday. This is not technically considered a class. This is a Facebook Live. If I do a class, I'm going to do it in a private group, but I'm basically trying to give tips and tricks for you guys. But next Tuesday at 3:30 Central is when I'll be on live again, and we'll finish up what I'm working on today. What do we have here? So yeah, they just started hitting the dealers last week. Like I said, I don't have one yet. They just started hitting the dealerships next week. Your SEX 230DX, those should be hitting sometime end of September, I think, maybe early October. That ship from China is taking a little while. Actually, COVID-19 has affected everybody's business, guys. Factories, the work, everything manufacturing slowed down. So it's this year's things coming in are a little bit slower. So let's see here. You're most welcome, Belle. Pat, I think they should be getting theirs this week. I know Knoxville got some last week. Website again, it should be down. Oops, no, it's not. Hold on. Here you go. There's a website. The coupon gets you a discount off of either of those books, whichever book that you've selected in your cart. All right, guys. So the book class is this Thursday, Tammy. As far as I think this is our week to go. I'm pretty sure it is. All right. So COVID-19 really has affected everybody's shipping, all the stuff coming in. So not only, if you think about it, guys, Brother did an excellent job getting product put together, considering all offices across world, not just this country, worldwide were closed. People couldn't go into work. So they are working from home, developing product. That was a huge undertaking, and it's pretty amazing how they were able to pull that off. The back to business that we did was done totally virtual this year, and getting that all put together is usually 30 people. We're all teaching a different class, and it got pulled together in a very short period of time. Something that usually takes months was done in 5 weeks. So it's amazing to me that we were able to that Brother was able to pull this off this year. It's the first time they've ever done anything virtual. So, it really has been a challenging year in more ways than one. What we didn't see in the background is that, it was, they're always developing. So when I hear people say, well, I just bought this last year and they already came out with a new one. Well, let's think about this, guys. Brother is a manufacturing company. And if we want them to stay in the business, then they have to manufacture something in order to sell. And that's how they stay in business. So there's always going to be something new around the corner. Always. If there's not, then they're not making money and they can't stay in business to support you. So in that way, and I always like to see what the new technology is. I don't know about you. You can skip it if you don't want it, but it's cool to have it if you do. So I always like seeing what new goodies we get in our machines and what new stuff that they come up with us for us to play with. All right, guys. So you guys have a great rest of the week. On Thursday, I think it's Thursday, whatever the 10th is. I believe it's Thursday, but I won't swear to that. On the 10th, we are doing a Facebook Live through Brother, and you'll see educators, myself, Angela, Joanne, talking about the new product. You'll get to see a little bit of the product reveal party that the dealers got to see. It wasn't a party, it was a production this year instead of a party, but you'll get to see a little bit more about that, and we'll be talking about some of our favorite stuff. So please feel free to join us on that day. I believe it's noon Eastern and 11 my time. I won't swear to that, but I'm pretty sure it's noon Eastern. If you check on Brother's Facebook page, you'll find that one out very easily. So you guys have a great rest of the day. I thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next Tuesday. Y'all have a great rest of the day. Bye.